Hello everyone and welcome to Comic Kings. As a lot of you may know, there's an upcoming Flash movie that's set to release in 2022, which will most likely be under the title of Flashpoint. The Flash movie has had several rewrites of its script, but recently the screenplays for one of these scripts surfaced on the internet. The details about this cancelled version of the Flash movie was leaked by a Reddit user that claims to have worked at Warner Brothers and got to read over the screenplay. This was the screenplay written when comic book legend Grant Morrison and the Flash actor himself, Ezra Miller, teamed up to work on the Flash movie together, and the screenplay was published to Warner Brothers in March of 2019. Although I will still cover what the screenplay included, I must remind you to take this information with a grain of salt, as we don't really know if any of these rumors are true. I will also remind you that this is no longer the same story that they're going to use for the 2022 Flash film. The first Flash movie in the DCEU was originally set to come before the Flashpoint movie and sort of introduce the audience to the concept of time travel. But now with this idea scrapped, Warner Brothers is just gonna move straight to a Flashpoint movie without any Flash movies coming before it. Alright, without further ado, let's get to it. In this story, the Flash would have already been an established hero in Central City, and he's been stopping crimes all over the city for about a year and a half now. This movie wouldn't have been the Flash's origin story, but it would have included flashbacks of crucial points in Barry's life. So it would have included flashbacks of events such as the time his mother died, the moment he was struck by lightning, and we would have also gotten glimpses of Barry Allen designing different versions of the Flash suit. Sorry, I can't speak. Barry and Iris wouldn't be a couple by the time the movie starts. They had tried to date, but it didn't work out. However, they're still close as she's the only person in Central City who he has told his secret to. In this movie, Barry would be learning about the limits of his powers and the Speed Force. He would also be extremely interested in the concept of time travel. Willing to know more about time travel, Barry runs over to Keystone City to speak with a scientist who studies and theorizes ideas about time travel. This scientist is a man named Peter Garrick, who mysteriously knows Barry's name before Barry even has a chance to introduce himself. Peter explains to Barry how speed can break into time travel, but it can be a dangerous process. In this movie, Barry would be suffering from PTSD of the night his mother was murdered, and he would be haunted by flashbacks of a yellow speedster with red eyes killing his mother in front of him, and framing Barry's father for the murder. This red-eyed monster is the reversed Flash, but he does not make an appearance in this movie. Instead, Grant Morrison and Ezra Miller were planning on making the reverse Flash the main villain to a sequel, possibly the Flashpoint movie that was going to come after this. These flashbacks are the main reason that Barry broke up with Iris. He was too afraid to lose another loved one. The film's plot revolves around Barry and the CCPD investigating the death of Detective John Alvins. In this movie, John Alvins is the man that took care of Barry after his mom died, like how Joe West does in the Flash TV series. The investigation is soon botched, and the CCPD catches the wrong guy, but Barry could figure out that the real killer was still on the loose, so he continues the investigation as the Flash. It's revealed that Alvin's partner, Officer Lisa Snart, killed him. She did this to distract the CCPD, while a metahuman named Sam Scudder, aka the Mirror Master, would use his abilities to break her brother, Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold, out of a prison convoy passing through the city. In the comics, Sam Scudder has been shown to have abilities such as the power to travel through mirrors, trap others in mirrors, the power to turn others into glass, and he has even been shown to be able to create several duplicate versions of himself and even of those around him. Leonard Snart and Scudder both decide to stay in Central City in order to track down a scientist in hiding. This scientist turns out to be a Dr. Howard, who used to experiment on Scudder. With the help of Lisa Snart, the rogues are even able to rebuild Leonard's cold gun. Snart and Scudder go on a rampage through Central City and eventually find Dr. Howard. Snart offers to spare his life in exchange for one small favor. We find out what this favor was later on in the film. Flash eventually tracks the villains down at their hideout, but he finds himself outgunned. Scudder's abilities catch Barry by surprise, and Snart uses his cold gun to freeze Barry's legs. On top of all of this, they frame the Flash for killing Alvin's. Barry is able to run away, but he barely makes it out alive when he's chased by the police, his injuries making it difficult for him to run. Barry makes it to Iris's apartment, where she takes care of him and helps heal his wounds. As Barry and Iris start spending more time with one another, their relationship begins to blossom again. Meanwhile, Captain Cold and Mirror Master go on bank-robbing sprees, while the Flash is a public enemy and nowhere to be found. Paralleling his dad's situation, as he was also framed, Barry visits his father in jail to confide in him. Soon after this, Barry sees on the TV screen that Scudder has kidnapped Iris, and Leonard sends a public message to the Flash to make a choice to either stop him from leaving Central City or to save Iris. Naturally, Barry picks to save Iris, and he suits up as the Flash. In a deadly confrontation on a bridge, the Flash finds himself surrounded by the police while he is fighting Scudder, and he is forced to fight them at the same time. Iris ends up being killed in the middle of this crossfire. In rage, Flash runs fast enough to break the time barrier and save Iris, but he ends up finding himself trapped in the Speed Force. In the Speed Force, Barry is suddenly chased down by a zombified version of a speedster, the Black Flash. All of a sudden, Flash is saved by another speedster that comes to his rescue, Professor Garrick. Garrick looks younger than he did when he met Barry, and he is wearing his own Flash suit. This Garrick goes by Jay, and he claims he's never met Barry before, but he is able to help Barry get out of the Speed Force, allowing for Barry to time travel a day into the past and save Iris. Barry is able to take down Scudder and catches Lisa Snart, exposing her. Flash even builds himself a new suit. With nowhere to escape, Leonard lures Barry down to an abandoned subway tunnel, where he injects himself with an untested dose of Howard's formula, turning him into a metahuman with ice powers. This leads to an epic battle with the Flash, whose speed is slowed down by the cold temperatures. The Flash is finally able to defeat Captain Cold, but he barely escapes the confrontation alive. Unfortunately for Leonard, his body is unable to adapt to the sudden cold temperatures coming from within, and he ends up freezing to death. Flash is then proven innocent for the murder of Alvin's with the help of Iris West, and the two of them become a couple again. After all of this, Barry heads back over to Keystone City, where he meets with Professor Garrick. It's heavily implied that Jay is from another timeline or universe, as there hasn't been any other Flash besides Barry in this world's history. Garrick even gives Barry a ring for his Flash suit and assures him that he doesn't need it anymore. Lastly, he warns Barry that messing with the timeline could be dangerous. It could create a paradox. Now, this scene is really just teasing the Flashpoint paradox that will take place in the sequel. The final scene of the movie shows Lisa Snart in jail, where she vows revenge on the Flash for killing her brother. Barry sits with his father and reveals to him that he is the Flash, and that he will do everything in his power to catch his mom's real killer, who is still out there somewhere. Alright everyone, that's all the information I have on the Morrison/Miller Flash screenplay. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this in the future.